When you have eaten our Apple computer, it turns into shit.
Got some red berries over here.
We got some food on the tabletop of wisdom today. It's True Detective here in the house. I mean in the forest. This video is for all you Linux master race thinking there that maybe I should just buy a Mac, you know? Maybe this operating system, maybe make videos on it, maybe being creative on it, maybe producing anything on it is just waste of time. Maybe I should just hop on the Mac bandwagon. What I'm going to say is that no, don't do it. I tried DaVinci Resolve yesterday on Linux and it didn't work. I tried it on Fedora and it didn't fucking even install on it. I heard some guy in this town say that yeah, DaVinci Resolve, that's the editor you want to go for. I do my videos on Kdenlive, that's open source software. And right now, Debian 13 it came out. And I have no clue what it is about Debian. When I use Debian, I feel that my life becomes a bit more magical. They said on DaVinci Resolve page that this is the software that the pros use in Hollywood. I highly doubt that they actually use that software in Hollywood though. I won't make science about that because I'm not a scientist. And the Debian community, it's just fucking great. The Debian community, they got it. If you are a Debian user and you want some support, you have some questions that you want to ask about the system, tune into their IRC channel. They have a lot of great knowledgeable nerds there, willing to answer your support questions about the operating system, yeah. In my past I was working for a while for this computer support, tech support, and we did a lot of cable routing there for workstations. And today's video I want you to check it out. I explain to you to the deep level how and why you should organize your cables in the way that you should organize them. Because you should organize them. The Apple mentality is that instead of trying to organize your cables, just maybe take one cable there and maybe make everything else wireless and make all the connectors so that you cannot really even use most of the stuff that you would be using on Windows or Linux. Adding on a Mac system after you have become a Linux user or when you have been a Linux user is much easier than adding on a Linux system after you have been a Mac user. As a Mac user you would probably do a Linux laptop, but why would you do that?
Got some red berries over here. Probably shouldn't eat those, by the way.
I would say that on Linux, if it's not in the distro repositories, just forget about using it. The only exception there would probably be Google Chrome. And about that Chrome, yesterday on Fedora I was just testing out Brave. It's a new browser, or that's what they say. It's actually not its own browser. It's a kind of a fork of Google Chrome. Wouldn't recommend it. I would really want to build for YouTube a desktop computer out of components and make it into a video. But it's a very kind of expensive project. It will require about 1,500 euros to do it. And when I was researching in the Linux compatibility, I found that Asus nowadays, it has that ProArt series. They have the cases, you can get an Asus power supply, all Asus motherboard, that type of stuff. I figured out that yeah, I can probably get a Linux compatible system and make it very powerful. When I looked at the current Macs, I realized that you have to put a lot of dollar on it to get a really good Mac for video editing, because the RAM configurations on those is, I don't know why is it, but when you configure a Mac to have more RAM when you buy it, the RAM costs about double or sometimes even triple what you would pay if you just bought that stick of RAM from some computer store. We are beside the road. The cars are going there. There's a lot of this stupid ambient noise. A lot of you guys might live in a place just like this, beside the road, and wearing headphones all day to tune out that noise. It's a sad fact that we are becoming just this way. I used to wear headphones all the time in the outside world too, but I quit that because I realized that life is kind of better when you can hear it. Something about Intel CPUs now. With Intel, you have the i5s, the i7s, i3s, and nowadays also the i9 series or the 9 series, or the Ultra 5, the Ultra 7, Ultra 9. When Intel manufactures a CPU, the i9s are the chips that have all the transistors in them, the zones of transistors, manufactured successfully. But with i5s, you have some transistors in the chip that are, so to say, dead. And that's how they grade the CPU. It's the same chip, but the manufacturing of these makes it so that they sell it for you as an i5 or i7 or 9. That's why they have less cores. But if you look at the CPU score of an i5 machine, for example the Intel, Asus NUC nowadays, which is a really good Linux machine. Compare the i5 to the i9, there's a 400 euro difference there. But they are almost the same CPU score. And with the i5 you get a lower TDP. So if you are looking for a pre-built machine, consider that the TDP of it. If the heatsink is same, I would guess that the i5 with a little bit lower CPU score is going to have better thermal characteristics. Okay, here's another little interesting fact I realized about CPU coolers. There's those people that go all out on it. They get the water cooling. Get the water cooling on that shit PC. Get the CPU sizzling type of game. They just play their games and all water cooled on that. Just GPUs water cooled too. Closed loop on it. Just LED lights and fancy colorful liquid going through the tubes. That's one way to go about it. But then there's also, of course, air cooling. Here's the bread and butter of air cooling. Think about when you manufacture an air cooler. What is it really? What is a CPU heatsink? What does it do? Well, it has heat pipes in it and a surface area that transmits the heat into the metal, the heat sink. And it's supposed to be blown away from the heat sink with the fan. It highly varies how successfully accomplished we become when we try to do this. And some low-end CPU coolers, they have the heat pipes just sanded straight. With more expensive air coolers like Noctuas, you have a straight plate on it against the CPU. The heat pipes don't come on the CPU directly. Be really mindful when you choose a CPU cooler. When you install one, be very mindful. Don't fuck it up. Back to Apple. Why did they choose a fucking fruit for the logo? And why did some other American company choose a red hat for the logo? I don't know. It's something in the world. You can't eat a hat, but you can eat an apple. But when the apple is ate, do you know what it turns into? It turns into shit. When you have eaten our Apple computer, it turns into shit. And some African kid is going to have to disassemble it. Thanks for watching this week's. When this Apple computer is turned into shit, and it has been used for a lot of years, some African kid will have to disassemble it. Thanks for watching today's Tech Talk episode, and I hope that we don't get discouraged, don't get depressed, don't give up on life, because there's still something to be lived even if you don't got that wife.